Hello all, welcome to Naresh IT Labs. In this video, we are going to discuss about Java operators, and then we will be discussing about what are the different types of operators available in Java, like Java arithmetic operators, comparison operators, and the logical operators. So let's go into Eclipse and we will be discussing about this. I'm creating a new class, operators. So I'm clicking on finish button. So first of all, what are operators in Java? So the main purpose of using operators is to perform some operations on values or variables. So coming to the different types of operators we have, one we have arithmetic operators, ARI arithmetic operators. Then we have the next operator, which is nothing but the comparison operator. And the third we have is logical operator. So we have arithmetic operators, we have comparison operators, and we have logical operators. Now coming to the arithmetic operators, so let's discuss here. So first we are discussing about arithmetic. So in arithmetic operators we have plus, we have minus, we have multiplication, you have a division, we also have a modulus operator. So we have increment and we have decrement. So these arithmetic operators can be performed on integers, double, and float values. So let's see how we can use this plus operator. So plus, which is nothing but a addition operator. So in order to perform addition, we need to have two numbers. I'm defining two variables, int number 1, comma number 2. When I perform addition, it will return me some output which I will be storing in this result. So in number 1, I'm going to store 10, and in number 2, I'm going to store 2. So in number 1, I have stored 10, and in number 2, I have stored 2. So now I'm performing the addition. So it will be number 1 plus number 2. So this number 1 plus number 2 will return me some output which is of integer again. I'm going to store inside result. So now I am printing the output of it, sysout result. So when you execute the program, 10 will be stored inside number 1 and 2 will be stored inside number 2. Here I am adding 10 plus 2, which is equal to 12. In result it will store 12 and the output should be printed as 12. So if you run the program and the output is displayed as 12. So this is how you would be performing the addition. Now, how to perform subtraction? So here I am doing subtraction. So subtraction is basically to find the difference between 10 minus 2. So I am going to say number 1 minus number 2. So which I will store inside result, and now I am printing system.out.println. I am printing the output result. So when I execute the program, so 10 will be stored inside number 1 and 2 will be stored inside number 2. 10 minus 2, which is nothing but 12. Sorry, 10 minus 2, which is nothing but 8, and the output will be printed as 8 here. So if you run the program, it is displayed as 8. So this is how you would be performing the subtraction. So next, multiplication. So for multiplication, I'm going to multiply 10 into 2, which is nothing but number 1 into number 2. So star is used as a multiplication operator. So which I'll be storing inside this result variable. And now I am printing the output. So 10 will be stored in number 1 and 2 is stored in number 2. So here 10 into 2, which is nothing but 20, that should be printed as a output. Right click, run as Java application. It's printed as 20. Now I would be performing the division. Division is basically to divide the numbers. So I'm dividing number 1 by number 2, which will give me some output which I am storing in result. So here I am performing the division. For division we will use slash as a division. Now system.out.println result. So 10 divided by 2, which should give me 5. If you run the program, it is giving me 5. So this division, it will divides one value by other. I'm dividing 10 divided by 2, which is giving me as 5. Then we have modulus operator. So for modulus operator, the main purpose of modulus operator is it will return it will return it will return the division reminder. So number 1 I'm going to say 11 and number 2 I'm going to say 2. So here I'm going to apply the modulus operator on number 1 and number 2. So here I'm saying number 1 into, sorry, number 1 percentile number 2. So percentile is nothing but a modulus operator which I'm storing inside result. So here what it would do is 11 modulus 2. So if you are dividing 11 by 2 or if you are dividing 10 by 2, it is going to give me as 5. So in modulus, what it will do, the remainder is 1. So that 1 is printed as a output. So modulus will return the remainder of the division. So the remainder of division is 1, which will be printed as 1 here as a output. And the next operator we have is increment operator. Plus plus is called as increment operator. So what I'll do is, as of now, number one value is 11. Suppose if I apply increment on number 1, it will add 1 to 11 like this. So plus plus number 1. So which will give me some output I'm storing inside this result. And now I am printing here the output which I am saying result. So what this plus plus will do, number 1 is having 11, 11 plus 1 which will be printed as 12 as a output. And then this is called increment operator. Now coming to your decrement operator, so here we are seeing about decrement. So I'm applying decrement for number 1, so which I am going to say minus minus number 1. So number 1 is having 11, 11 minus 1 which is nothing but 1. So 11 minus 1 which is nothing but 10. So result is equal to minus minus number 1. I'm saying system.out.println result. So here it should be printed as 10 as a output, 11 minus 1 which is nothing but 10. So this is how the decrement operator would look like. So all these are the different types of arithmetic operators available, and all this we have applied for integers. You can apply the same for doubles also. Let me show you that. Double number 1 is equal to 12.1 and number 2 is equal to 1.5, and I am also defining one more variable which is nothing but result. So now I am applying addition. So directly I am writing the output. Result is equal to number 1 plus number 2. So double with double, if you add, it will give me the result as double. So here it should give me the output as double. So 12.1 plus 1.5 which will be 13.6 like this. So let me apply subtraction, and rest of the things you can try by yourself. Number 1 minus number 2, so which I am storing inside this result, and here I am going to say system.out.println result. So 12 minus 1 minus 1.5, it should give me some double value 10.6. So like this you can apply the arithmetic operators for the integers as well as for the double values. So these are all about the arithmetic operators in Java. Now the next kind of operators we have is comparison operators. So let's see the comparison operators what we have. So coming to your comparison operators, we have different types of comparison operators like double equal to, not equal to, and then less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to are the different types of comparison operators we have. So when do we need a comparison operators is when we have to display some output after we compare the values. Okay, whenever we have to display some output after we compare the values, that's where we go with the comparison operators. So whenever you apply comparison operators, by default it will return a boolean value. It will return boolean values as true or false. So the return value, whenever you use any of these comparison operators, the return value will be true or false. So let's see how we can use these comparison operators. So again, you can apply for integer, doubles and so on. So I'm going to define one variable which is nothing but int number 1 is equal to 10 and number 2 is equal to, let's say, 5. Number 1 is equal to 10 and number 2 is equal to 5. Now I am applying double equal to. So I want to compare if number 1 is equal to number 2, like this. Number 1 double equal to number 2. So as we discussed, this will return me a boolean. I'm defining one variable which is nothing but boolean result. So I'm going to store number 1 double equal to number 2 inside this result. So now let me print the output system.out.println result. So when you start executing the program, in number 1 you have 10 and number 2 you have 5. Is 10 equal to 5? Not equal. It should return me false. Run the program. False. Now suppose number 1 is 10 and number 2 is also 10. Now in this case it should return me true because number 1 is equal to number 2. Like this. Now so let's see not equal to. Okay. So now in this result I'm going to store number 1 not equal to would be like this, not equal to number 2. So is 10 not equal to 10, which is not correct, so which will return me false. If so, here if you print the output result, so if you run the program, it is returning me false because 10 is not equal to 10, which is not correct. Suppose I'm making number 1 as 10 and number 2 as 5. Is 10 not equal to 5, which is correct, which will return me true here. So this is how not equal to would be. Now next is less than. So result is equal to number 1 less than number 2. And here I am printing system.out.println result. So when it executes the program, is 10 less than 5? So 10 is not less than 5, which will return me false. Suppose if 10 value is, suppose if number 1 value is 2, is 2 less than 5, which is correct, it should return me true. Now the next operator we have is greater than. So result is equal to number 1 greater than number 2. So system.out.println result. Now if you execute the program, so 2 is 2 greater than 5, which is not, it will return me false. So this is how greater than operator would be. Now greater than or equal to, less than or equal to first. So let me say number 1 as 5 and number 2 as 5, right? Now here I will say result is equal to number 1 less than or equal to number 2. So system.out.println result. So when it executes the program, first number 1 is 5 and number 2 is 5. So it will check if 5 is less than 5, which is not correct. But 5 is equal to 5. It will return me true. Now next is greater than or equal to. So number 1 greater than or equal to number 2. So here I am storing inside result. Result is equal to number 1 greater than or equal to number 2 system.out.println result. So number 1 value is 5 and number 2 value is 5. Is 5 greater than 5, which is not correct, but 5 is equal to 5, which will return me true here. So these are the different types of comparison operators whatever we have in Java. And the third type of operators we have is logical operators. So logical operators, we have two ampersands, which is called AND operator, two pipe symbols, which is nothing but a OR operator. We have an exclamation, which is nothing but a NOT. So this is called logical AND, this is called logical OR, and this is called logical NOT. So why do we use logical operators? So logical operators are used to determine the logic between variables. So I want to determine the logic between two different variables. So that's where we go with the logical operators. So I'm defining one variable, int a is equal to, let's say, 10. So int a is equal to 10. Now I will say if a is less than, if a is less than 10 and if a is less than 10 and if a is greater than 10. So a is less than 10 and a is greater than 10. So what it will do, your logical operator by default, it will return true or false by checking this logic. So here it will come and it will check the logic. 10 is less than 10, which is not correct. 10 is greater than 10, so which is not correct, right? Suppose if I write like this, 10 is less than 10 or 10 is greater than 10. So is 10 is less than 10, not correct. 10 is greater than 20. Is 10 greater than 20? Not correct. So this condition and this condition, both if it matches, this condition and this condition both it matches, then only it will return me as true. If any of this condition is not matching, it will return me false. So this is how it will work. Coming to your AND operator, if the first one is true and second one is true, then it will return me true. Both has to be true. Suppose if first one is true and second one is false, it will return false. Suppose if first one is false and second one is true, then in that case it will return me false. If first one is false and second one is also false, it will return me false. So now let's see. I am saying system.out.println rather than storing it in a different variable. I am saying system.out.println. I am saying this. Now if I run the program, it is returning me false because both are false. Now suppose a is equal to 10. If 10 is less than 20 and 10 is greater than 20, in this case also it will return me false. Suppose here 10 is less than 20 and 10 is equal to 10. So 10 is less than 20, yes, correct. 10 is equal to 20, correct. So in that case, it should return me true. This is about your AND operator. Now coming to your OR operator. So I'm defining a variable int a is equal to 10. Now a less than 20 or a less than 20 or a equal to 5. So here is 10 less than 20, which is correct, which is true, and is 10 equal to 5, which is not true. In this case it will return me true. So your OR true comma true, which will be true. True comma false, which will be true because one of the condition is matching. False comma true, which will be true, which is again one of the condition is matching, comma false comma false, then it will be false. So this is how it will work. So coming to here, if I write the output system.out.println, so here I am saying 10 is less than 20, which is not correct. So 10 is less than 20, which is correct, but 10 is equal to 5, which is not correct. In this case it will still return me true. So this is how your OR operator would be. And the NOT operator, not operator. So let's say int x is equal to 10. So int x is equal to 10, right? So now here I'm writing a program like this. So x greater than x is greater than, let's say, 3. X is greater than 3 and x is less than 20. So if you see, is 10 greater than 3, which is correct, and here is 10 less than 20, which is correct, right? In this case, if you apply, then it should give me true. But if I apply not like this, so not like this, not, so if I write like this, it will reverse. So whatever true is there, it will reverse as false. So let me print it as a output, and here it will return me false. So your not will simply reverse the result. So these are the different types of operators that you might be using when we are working on the projects. Thank you all for listening. See you in the next video.